Hello, I sit before you dressed like Ned Flanders from The Simpsons for some reason. I guess I'm channeling my inner evangelical today. And I have about 7 discs that I'm going to talk to you about. So let's get started. We'll start off with two that I got in some Black Friday sales. Pacific Rim on Blu-ray. This was like £15 something on Amazon. Not seen the film, but it was reduced and it's meant to be a really good looking disc, and also I'm getting a new soundbar for Christmas, which is it's a 5 channel soundbar. So I will have I will finally have a kind of surround sound setup in my room, and since this has a really good sound mix, I thought it would be a good disc to sort of try out the soundbar when I get it. So that's Pacific Rim. Let me know if the second one's any good. I heard the mixed things about the second one. So I don't know if I enjoy that one. Will I enjoy number two? Let me know in the comments. Then we have it's a Criterion title. Was $22.99, but HMV had an offer during Black Friday week where like all like their Blu-rays and 4Ks, unless it like had a sticker saying it wasn't, was like we're like 25% off or something like that. So it was only about £17 something. We have The Big Chill. In the film I haven't seen, heard it's really good though. I always thought this was like a film noir based on the title, The Big Chill. It sounds like The Big Sleep. So I always assumed it was like some sort of neo noir type film, but no, it's like a comedy drama about it's a group of friends. They sort of reunite. One of them commits suicide, and then it's sort of the others sort of reuniting at his funeral. And I haven't seen it, but bit of trivia. The Kevin Costner, like in one of his early roles, was cast as the one who committed suicide. Like there was a flashback scene with him, where you see him when he was alive, but it ended up it's not in the finished film. It got cut out. So Kevin Costner is still in the film, but it's like at the beginning you see like the body getting you don't see the face, but you see like the body getting dressed, and apparently that's Kevin Costner. So you get like Kevin Costner's like a blink and you'll miss him. Not cameo role in this. I think the Lawrence Kasdan cast him in that western, what's called Silverado, because he cut him out. He got cut out of this, so he said, "Yeah, I'm sorry you got cut out of the film. Why don't you? I'd like you to have a role in my next one to make up for it." And that was one that the films that made him a star. So that was one of his early sort of successes. So worked out for Kev in the end. So that's The Big Chill. Next we have another 4K. Braveheart. Got this yesterday. It was $14.99 in HMV. It's not historically accurate at all. It is like complete like I think the only thing that actually are true are it's that actually resemble real life is there was a Scotsman called William Wallace. There was another Scotsman called Robert the Bruce, and then there was the English king was called later with Longshanks. I think those are the only things that they actually got right. So it is nothing like the actual story of what happened to William Wallace's life. But if you can get past all the fact it's not historically accurate, it's a really good film. Really, it's like a historical epic. This is like one of the best. It's really, really just top rate entertainment. But if you're a historian, it might drive you round the bend. But yeah, it's a really good 4K disc. I watched not the whole film because it's like 3 hours long. But before I went to work, I watched a couple of scenes on just to see what it looked like, and it looks really nice. Like it's got some really beautiful scenery there. So really, really good. If you're a fan of the film, definitely pick the 4K up because it looks very good. Then we have a DVD, Planes, Trains and Automobiles. I picked this up on DVD because, the Blu-ray is one of the worst looking Blu-rays ever. Like, apparently it looks like absolutely terrible. Like it had a lot of no DNR applied to the image, and it just looks so bad. And there was a 4K released last month, and it does look better than the Blu-ray apparently, but it still looks pretty bad. Like there's some scenes that look okay, but there's other scenes that look like it had a lot of noise reduction applied to it too. Not as much as the Blu-ray, and it does look better, but it doesn't look that. It's still one of the worst looking 4K discs apparently. And there's also a problem with the sound where if you in 5.1, the rear channels are switched. So if there's a sound that's meant to come out of the right rear channel comes out of the left instead. And since I'm getting my 5 channel soundbar, I'll probably notice that. So I thought, I'll save some money and just get the DVD instead. It was $5.99 from HMV plus postage, like their website, because I couldn't find it in shop. Probably could have gotten it a bit cheaper if I'd bought it elsewhere, like Amazon or eBay or somewhere. But I wanted to get this version because this is the HMV retro series. What do you call it? Where I have these slip covers that make it look like the back border that make it look like like an old VHS, cover. And yeah, I kind of like that because it is an 80s film, and I like that sort of retro look. It feels appropriate, and it does have the original artwork with them on the poster, because I'm not a fan of the Blu-ray artwork or the 4K artwork, honestly. I wish, this is a much better cover than those. But yeah, so the DVD actually looks okay. It's not, it looks like a DVD. It's in standard def. The color is a bit, flatter than like a HD copy would be, and there is a bit of macro blocking, but still, it's perfectly watchable. It looks all right, honestly, on my 4K TV. So yeah, quite happy with the DVD at the moment. Might pick up the 4K if they ever fix the audio. Probably won't, because Paramount is crap. But yep, that's Planes, Trains and Automobiles. Next is a anime film. It's part of a series we have, Princess Principal Crown Handler Chapter 2. Now there's a mouthful for a title. Basically, Princess Principal was an anime series, and instead of doing a second series, they're doing it's like a film series, a 6-part film series called Crown Handler, and this is the second film. I have the first film. I haven't watched it yet. I might do a double bill of them. If you haven't seen Princess Principal, it's about a group of spies, and their cover is that they pretend to be schoolgirls, and it's a really good show. The title makes it sound really girly, but it's actually a really, really good spy series. I love it. It's great. And I'm not the biggest anime person. I watch some, but I'm not big. I don't watch loads of them. I watch them occasionally. The trouble is, a lot of the anime series are way too long. There's 1 million episodes it takes. So I don't watch that many anime series, but this one's really good. So definitely give it a watch. We'll give the series a watch and then watch the films. I think Chapter 3's coming out. Should be coming out within the next couple of years. So looking forward to that. They're coming out. Films coming out every 2 or 3 years. So hopefully physical media will still be around by the time they make the last film, because otherwise the collection will be incomplete, and that'll annoy me greatly. Next is a TV series on Blu-ray. It's one of my favourite series from my childhood. Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons, the original. This is if you haven't seen this, there was a guy called Jerry Anderson in the 60s, a TV producer, and he made these shows with puppets. It was super marionation. It was like marionettes. And he did Thunderbird, Stingray, Joe 90, this. I grew up watching these. When I was a kid in the early 2000s, they repeated Thunderbirds and Stingray and Captain Scarlet, and I used to watch them religiously. And this one was always my favourite. And I was in HMV, and they had the Blu-ray set for $24.99, and I thought, could get that. Love this series. There was a remake of this about 20 years ago, which was the new Captain Scarlet, it was CGI rather than marionettes, but it was actually really good. I haven't seen it probably since it was first on. But I remember it being really good. It might have even been better than this. That is also on Blu-ray. I'll have to pick it up one day because I really loved that as well. But yeah, really, basically it's about so there's a misunderstanding which leads to attack on the Martian. There's these Martian aliens from Mars called Mysterons, and there was a misunderstanding, and we kind of attacked their city. So they declare war on Earth. So there's a organization called Spectrum, which is there to fight the Mysterons, and one of their operatives is Captain Scarlet, who was captured and replicated by the Mysterons, but then the replicant, he gets he switches sides again. He's no longer under their control, and so he's back working for Spectrum, and he's invincible. So yeah, it's probably the most violent kids show ever, because in order for like the Mysterons to like have to enact their plans, they kill someone quite violently and then replicate them, and then usually at the end of the episode, Captain Skull defeats the Mysterons in a way that involves him also dying violently, but it's okay because he comes back at the end of the episode because he's invincible. And yes, it's really violent for a kids show. It's really surprisingly violent. It's probably the only kids show like the main character dies at the end of every episode. Well, there is one other one, the new Captain Scarlet, but it's but yeah, really good. Apparently the Blu-ray transfer looks really good. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any of the extra features that are on the DVD box set. So if you like your special features, you'll have to buy it twice. But still, the episodes are important, and like I said, they do apparently look really good. So yeah, that's Captain Scarlet. I do want to get Thunderbirds at some point. I think they just released Stingray on Blu-ray, so I'll probably pick that up, and I'll probably pick up Thunderbirds as well, because yeah, nostalgia of that stuff. And finally, we have a horror title. This is Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. This is a Amicus film. It was the first Amicus portmanteau film. Basically, what Amicus were they were kind of like Hammer. They were a British film studio in the sort of the 60s, 70s, and they made horror films. Like, they're primarily known for horror films, so they're kind of like a rival to Hammer, obviously, but their films were different. Like, the Hammer made like period pieces, gothic period pieces like Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy, that kind of thing. They did make some set in the modern day, but generally they were like period ones. Whereas Amicus made portmanteaus, which is like they made anthology films that were set in the modern day generally. So they were similar because they used a lot of the same actors and some of the same directors and crew and stuff, but they were fairly different really. And this was the first anthology film that they made, and obviously it was successful enough to where they made like loads of them. My favourite's probably The Vault of Horror, which is the sequel to Tales from the Crypt. It was Tales from the Crypt, obviously based on the comic, the Tales from the Crypt comic books, and then they did Vault of Horror, which wasn't based on the Vault of Horror comics. It was based on more Tales from the Crypt comics, so it's very confusing. But Vault of Horror is probably my favourite of these, but I like this one as well. Asylum's really good too. This is the Fabulous Films release. It was released by Odeon, or Screenbound as they're now known, several years ago, and I guess they also licensed because now Fabulous Films have put it out. I didn't own the previous Blu-ray, but having looked at screen caps of it on the internet, the transfer on this looks to be exactly the same. So it's not like a new transfer; it's the same transfer as far as I can tell. Does have a few extras, like the Odeon one had a documentary and a commentary and some like still galleries and stuff. This doesn't have the commentary, but it does have the documentary and the stills gallery, and it has new interviews with some of the actors who were in it. So I don't know if they're worth. I mean, I guess if you're you should probably. I would only pick this up if you don't have the previous release, or you're like a hardcore fan of the film. And you've got to have every single special feature, but otherwise it's if you've got the previous version, you'll probably be happy with that. It's not much of an upgrade really, unless you really want to see the interviews. But I didn't own the previous release, so I picked this up, and it does have quite a nice cover by Graham Humphreys, and you actually get it you get a booklet, but you also get a poster. Here's a poster. I'm not going to fold it up, but it's basically that. So it's a really nice looking cover. So glad I got this version personally. But yeah, that's Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. Really, really good fun if you like the sort of British horror films in that period, which I do. That's the end of the video. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like. If you have seen any of the films I talked about or shows, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you thought about them, and I will see you next time.